That's my secret, cat. I'm always angry.
Alright. I ran out of patience. On the roost!
Hey everyone, Captain, big fan of Spider-Man.
Avengers! Assemble.
Hello, Peter.
Hello and welcome back to the Infinity Saga and Beyond an MCU Fan podcast. I'm sorry this is a little late, but we are going to be talking Guardians of the Galaxy, the holiday special. I did watch this the night it dropped. I just haven't had time, unfortunately, to record a podcast about it. And then the trailer for Volume 3 dropped, so I figured let's make this a Guardians of the Galaxy episode. So what we'll do is we'll talk to Holiday Special first, and then we'll go ahead and watch the trailer for the third volume of Guardians of the Galaxy. So I don't know how long this episode is going to be, because I do think that the special, while very great, doesn't really lend itself to something for us to talk about for a super long amount of time, especially with the fact that that I don't have anybody on here with me this week. So we'll run through it here. But the holiday special, it aired November 25th, 2022. That was Black Friday on Disney+. It was written and directed by James Gunn. And here's the synopsis from Disney+. To make Christmas special for Quill, the Guardians head to Earth in search of the perfect present. So overall thoughts, I really enjoyed this. I was hoping for a little bit more of the actual rest of the team. This really started, as we got more trailers and more information about it, it started to get a lot more clear that this was going to mainly be a Mantis Drax story. And that's exactly what we got. But for a while here, when this was first announced, I'm thinking we're going to get to spend the holidays with Peter Quill, Groot, Rocket, as well as Mantis and Drax. And unfortunately, we didn't get as many of the rest of the Guardians in big roles, I guess you could say. That's probably my one part that I was disappointed about. But here we go. Here goes the plot. The Guardians of the Galaxy have purchased Nowhere from the Collector and have taken in Cosmo the Space Dog as a new member of the Guardians. That, when we open up at Nowhere and trying to figure out, they purchased it from the Collector, I thought that was very interesting. And from what James Gunn has talked a bit about on Twitter, is consistent with what we are going to see in Guardians of Volume 3, which makes sense. They filmed these at the same time. We figured that we'd get kind of a hint to where the Guardians are in Volume 3 through this. I thought Cosmo was great. Just being able to see Cosmo was great. I know some people were upset. It's a woman dog or female dog. Whatever. I mean, it's comic books. It's characters. Does it really matter, right? And I thought the voice suited Cosmo very well, and I like that it was the spacesuit collar thing that was allowing Cosmo to talk. I'm not fully sure how it is in the comics. I haven't read that much with Cosmo in the comics. I'm trying to read more Guardian stuff. I've kind of had to put a pause on a lot of my comic reading. I have this huge stack of comics behind me that I have to get through as well, that I've been picking up weekly from the comic shop. I had a very busy November, so I'm trying to catch up on those, trying to catch up on some pods as we go through here. But yes, so I thought Cosmo was great. Okay, as Christmas approaches, Kraglin tells the Guardians a childhood story of how Yondu ruined Christmas for Peter Quill. And then Mantis is going to discuss with Drax that she wants to find a perfect present for Peter, since he's still depressed about Gamora. And she even then drops it, I think here at this point in the show, that she is Peter's sister, or she believes she is. which I thought was a nice little twist. It was something that I never thought of, you know. We know Ego got around from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Mantis was working for Ego. It makes sense that maybe, you know, that she would be one of the children that he had been constantly looking for, to, you know, that would also have the powers that he has. So I felt like that made a lot of sense, and just something that I thought, hey, maybe I could have thought about that as as an actual plot point that might be coming up, but it never really crossed my mind. After brainstorming a few ideas, is what this is a synopsis off Wikipedia. They decide to go to Earth and retrieve Quill's childhood hero. This is actor Kevin Bacon. You know, they're under the impression that Kevin Bacon was somebody that was a hero, how he saved a town from dancing, all that good stuff. I like that they bring that up later with how Peter actually did save the whole, you know, galaxy through doing something that Kevin Bacon had done in Footloose. So Mantis and Drax go to Hollywood. This is fun because of kind of like the fish out of water type trope, where you have Drax and Mantis going around Hollywood asking people for Kevin Bacon. They go to the Grauman's Chinese Theater, the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and, you know, in front of that Chinese theater, I've been there, right? If you've been there, you know they always have people that are dressed up as characters as they're trying to get, like, they're not official. They're just trying to get, you know, people to stop and take a picture with them, maybe get a tip, that kind of stuff that people do. I remember running into, I think, like Spider-Man and like Minnie Mouse there. And in this, they run into Captain America, and I like that Mantis says, like, hey, that's Steve, you know? And if you're wondering how she would know Steve and all of that, they met at the funeral for Tony, you know? They're all there for Tony's funeral. So that all fits within the logic of this world. So I felt like it made a lot of sense. You know, they go to a bar and they're like drinking and having a good time, and then they get that map of celebrity residences, which, again, if you've been to LA and you've been around that area, they do sell those type of maps, and they do those like truck tours or van tours where they're going to take you around to people's houses. Maybe try to spot a celebrity. That is something that actually happens in LA. So I like that Gunn was able to use that in the show here. Well, Kevin Bacon is waiting for his family to come home. He has a conversation with his wife, Kira Sedgwick, and that's when Mantis and Drax show up, and they, you know, put the little buzzer on the gate, and it's almost like a ring type thing where he's able to see them and talk to them, and he pretty much tells them to go away. And then they get over the fence and start knocking on the door and ringing the doorbell. He goes and tries to say, hey, you know, you had your fun. That's enough. We get to see Mantis and Drax really fall in love with Christmas, like, decorations. And Drax wants the elf, and Mantis has a candy cane. But yeah, so Kevin Bacon escapes. He does call the police, and as he's running away, the police come, and Mantis places each cop, like, in a sleep hold before getting over to Kevin Bacon and making him in a trance where she's like, you want to go with us. And at that point, you know, he's all kind of like taking a chill pill. He's really cool with going with them, almost like a Jedi mind trick type thing. And that's like the bulk of it, right? That's like the bulk of the Earth stuff. Then we get into them wheeling out the present and Peter opening it. But before that, as they're going to nowhere, they tell Kevin Bacon about all the stories, and he's like, I'm an actor. And Drax and Mantis are very, very disappointed that he's an actor, making fun of it. This was, I think, a highlight for me. It's just this exchange as they go back and forth about how terrible actors are. It feels like Gunn poking a lot of fun at the business that he works in. I really dug this part a lot. Well, they tell Peter to come on out. They wheel over the present, and it starts shaking, and Peter starts getting a little concerned. He opens it up, and it's Kevin Bacon. And he's upset that they did this because, they kidnapped somebody, right? That's not what they're supposed to be doing. And Bacon is able to kind of run away. And while they're on the spaceship and getting ready to take him back, Kevin Bacon learns from Kraglin how he inspired Quill's heroism. Bacon decides to stay around and celebrate Christmas with the Guardians before returning home. After the celebration, this is when Peter reveals to Mantis that Yondu actually changed his mind about Christmas and had actually gifted him the pair of blasters that are his weapons. And then that the gift that Peter had given to him was the first little figure that sits on Yondu's chair area, the dash, right, of the spaceship that Yondu flew with the rest of the Ravagers. So he was like, hey, Kraglin didn't actually know the full story. But she does confide in him that she is Peter's half-sister, and Peter really likes that. He says it's the best gift he could have been given because, he finally knows he has some family. All in all, I thought the messaging of this special was really fun. The music was a lot of fun. Having the Wombats, one of my favorite artists, and their Christmas song in there. Having an original song sung by some other Ravagers and people from nowhere. I've been listening to it the last few days on my Christmas playlist. So, that song's really catchy. I've been singing it all day as I'm walking around the house. So they nailed that. It was charting on iTunes at some point. So people, have been picking this song up. And then they had the song by Kevin Bacon at the end too, which was good. So all in all, really great holiday special. Probably easily added into my Christmas rewatch list every year. Spending time with the Guardians of the Galaxy. But just on the other end, I was like, man, this just makes me even more excited for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 because Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is what we really want, right? And we want to spend time with all of the Guardians. And this was like a little nice appetizer before we get Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So that's what we have to cover next here. So like I said, not a lot to talk about with Holiday Special. I really dug it. But, it's a holiday special. There's not a lot of plot that we have to cover, big revelations other than Mantis being the half-sister of Peter Quill. And Groot looking kind of like swole Groot here. But what we're going to do here is we're going to open up this... okay. We're going to go ahead and open up the trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's see.
We were gone for quite a while. But no matter what happens next, the galaxy still needs its guardians. Hello, we come in peace. Come on, Drax. Seriously, dude?
No! Ow!
Hey!
Don't forget where we came from.
We have been running our whole lives.
Pete, I'm done running. We'll all fly away together. One last time. Into the forever and beautiful sky.
And we'll kill anyone who gets in our way.
No, not kill anyone.
Kill a few people.
Kill no people.
Kill one guy, one stupid guy who no one loves.
Now you're just making it sad.
May 5th, 2023. Yeah, that's hey, that's something, right? That is that's a really good trailer, I think. I think the music choice again by James Gunn is just always super great. But it was just, I don't know. This just looks like it's going to be epic when we're looking back at it. This Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 just looks to be really epic. I know a lot of people are speculating Rocket's going to die. I'm starting to think that's too easy now, that it's being hinted so much. I'm starting to think that's not going to be the case. James Gunn did say that they filmed, I think, a death scene for every Guardian to kind of throw off leakers and such. So, and the people that don't actually know the ending, they'll never be able to guess it in that regard of can't leak it if you technically did film one for each one. But I think it looks great. I think it looks wonderful. Phase 5, I think, is going to be so much stronger than Phase 4. I am somebody that is a fan of Phase 4. But when you're kicking it off with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and then not long after that you're getting Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Secret Invasion. I mean, this is pretty special. I am so really excited for this. We're going to get Rocket's backstory, a character that really needs it, and a goodbye to this iteration of the Guardians, and being able to leave them where they are, and somebody else, presumably, is going to be able to get hired and do a Volume 4. I don't know if we'd call it Volume 4, but maybe like a spin-off that has so many possibilities. I really think Star-Lord's going to survive. If Rocket and Groot survive, since they're CG characters, I mean, you're looking at something that is very possibly characters that can continue for a while. Whether as Guardians of the Galaxy or if you're getting, we just got Cosmo. I mean, imagine if we only had one movie with Cosmo. So I assume these characters, whoever survives, will probably show up, I think, to face off against Kang in Secret Wars or Kang Dynasty. I hope so. Anyway, I really do. I know we've only had 2 films of these characters, plus Infinity War and Endgame. And of course, they were just in Thor. But the bulk of our time with them has been Volume 1 and Volume 2. And it's amazing that we're so attached to these characters as we are. And I think that's a strength of James Gunn writing. And he just gets these characters so much more than anyone else. So you do wonder, since he's not going to be a part of the MCU going forward, because he's got the big job at DC now, what does that mean for us going forward? What does it mean for us with the Guardians? Are we going to see these characters a lot? Are we going to get somebody else that can come in and put their own spin on them? I've kind of equated this to numerous situations as we've been doing this show that I consider this will be the end of James Gunn's run on the Guardians, but that doesn't mean that it's the end of Guardians of the Galaxy. It sounds like from everything Chris Hemsworth is saying that this is the end of Taika's run on Thor, which lasted 2 films. And Chris Hemsworth is kind of retiring for a bit, but also said he would probably want a little bit of a shake-up with Thor. And I think that's fine. I like that. We've talked about this so many times, but if this is your first time listening to an episode, what I mean is these movies are structured. The MCU can be real-life comic books. And what I mean by that is in comics, you have things called runs, right? And what we mean by that is a run of issues where the creative team is consistent. So, you have Stan Lee's run on Amazing Spider-Man, which lasted forever. But now you also had Dan Slott's run on Spider-Man, or Dan Slott's run on She-Hulk. Chip Zdarsky's run on Daredevil, right? Like, you have these runs for... who am I thinking of right now? Hickman, his X-Men run, his Fantastic Four run. Things like that. So if you equate that to the movies, Volume 3 is the end of James Gunn's run on the Guardians. And what we got out of that was Guardians 1, Guardians 2, and the Holiday Special. But what also happens in comics is those big team-up issues and big events. We just finished one with Judgment Day in real comics for Marvel this year. And those tie-ins and those big events were Infinity War and Endgame, where, yes, we took James Gunn's Guardians, James Gunn assisted with some of the dialogue, but other than that, the storyline was plotted out by Marcus and McFeely for Infinity War and Endgame. So it is possible that somebody else is going to come in and we won't have James Gunn's run on the Guardians. We'll have a new run on Guardians with a new team lineup. And then we'll probably look back and we'll probably debate this stuff in the future of who had the better run of Guardians films. Most likely going to be James Gunn. He's just that good. But those are the little things that I really like about it. And some people like to just kind of disparage that, I think. Where they're like, Taika shouldn't touch anything ever again. Okay, well, you weren't a fan of Taika's run on Thor. At least some people, it seems like, they're letting Love and Thunder cloud their judgment of Ragnarok. Ragnarok was huge, by the way. That's why Taika came back and did Love and Thunder. I enjoyed Love and Thunder. I think it gets more hate than it deserves. But if that's the end of Taika's run on Thor, okay. Well, we had those two films, and now we're going to get probably somebody else, creative team, come in, work on Thor. And we can debate the runs on Thor. And what's another one? Like the Captain America with Marcus and McFeely, if you want to really consider them more. They wrote all three of those Cap movies. But two of them were directed by the Russos. And, that run is done. And now we're looking ahead to New World Order, Captain America 4, with a new writer and a new Captain America. And we're looking ahead and say, okay, that's the next run of comics or the next run of films, etc., of Captain America. So I really enjoy that about the MCU. And I think when you look at it that way, I think it's a little easier to kind of take. Not everyone is going to be a fan of a certain run. Not everyone's going to be a fan of a certain writing or style. So, you'll just prefer the next one, right? There's going to be things that shake up. They're going to take feedback. Marvel takes feedback all the time. That's why they changed up Thor to begin with. Because Dark World did well financially, but it did not hit the same with audiences as Thor or Avengers, so they had to reshake it. They had to revitalize the brand. And I'm sure they'll do the same thing after Love and Thunder for Thor if they bring him back at all. Just from the little hints of, like I said, of what Chris Hemsworth has been saying, if you do the rounds. But kind of back to the Guardians. I'm really excited to see how this plays out. I don't want them to kill off a lot of Guardians because I do want that possibility of seeing them for the future. But whatever James wants to do, I think you let them do. We saw that with the Suicide Squad, which is, for me, one of the best DC films. Probably one of my favorite DCs. Definitely of the continuity that we're currently in. That's the best one. The Suicide Squad. It's totally James Gunn. It feels very Guardians-esque, what I mean by like that team feel and the team being family type feeling. But that's probably where we're going to wrap it up here today. Coming up, if you're listening to this the day it releases, tomorrow I'm going to be releasing another episode, but it's going to be focused on DC Comics and DC Studios, James Gunn's plan. There's a lot of rumors flying around. He addressed some of those on Twitter. So I will be diving into his statement, diving into some of the articles, some of the rumors, and we'll take a look at that. But that's for DC Studios. So that'll be listed in the same feed that you're listening to this as an Elseworlds episode, which you can also just follow on its own field, on its own feed called Elseworlds, a DC fan podcast. But that's what we'll be talking about next. For Marvel, I'm still kind of working on some things. I'm trying to still round up guests for a Daredevil rewatch, if that's possible. I'll let you know. But I think I want to kind of talk about Judgment Day, if I can find somebody interested in that comic event that just ended, and see if we can talk about comics like that. We're going to try to build up for Ant-Man Quantumania as well. I'm trying to get Jack on again so he can maybe talk about this Ant-Man run that we read recently. But, yeah. And maybe we'll take a look at a Kang run. That might be fun to do as another one of our get to know Kang, or, we did that for Moon Knight. Get to know the character, talk about a popular run, or maybe a run that's not as popular, and just kind of talk about, hey, these are things that could creep up in Quantumania or Kang Dynasty, and just kind of looking ahead at that. So we'll talk about that. But if you want to give us a follow on our platforms, that would be a good question on what our platforms are. Let me pull that up. You can send us an email, marvelplusrecaps@gmail.com. You can tweet us at TOInfinitySaga, or you can go to facebook.com/InfinitySagaBeyond. I believe our Instagram is somewhere on there as well if we have one. I don't even remember at this point. But yes, you can reach us there. Send us, you can comment on the YouTube video, anything like that. If you want to send us your thoughts on what you think about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, where you see these characters going after Volume 3, and what you thought of the holiday special. So thank you all for listening. We'll catch you next time.